Suppose it was only a matter of time before Fractal extended the Torrent line. Oh yeah, you know what's going on today, ladies and gentlemen. You're on Concept Suite, where we like to talk about gaming PC builds, and today, of course, as always, is no exception. We're looking at the new entrant into the Fractal Torrent lineup. This is the Fractal Torrent NANO ITX tower case. Going to be building up a really nice mid to high end system in this case, so you can really see what kind of looks, what kind of performance, and what kind of features you could expect. So today's video will involve having a look over the case. It will involve a build montage. It will involve some gaming. It will involve some chat. It'll involve a lovely time. It will involve a sponsor as well. And that's it. Nothing else. So without further ado, let's build target. Then we'll talk about the parts. Oh, how weird. Here is the completed build. Oh yes. Oh yes. It does look very spectacular in this case, and it has turned out really nicely. I think the RGB looks great. I think having the fractal cooler and the fractal case gives it that sort of, fun fractal design language. And of course, this is going to be a very high performance system thanks to the fantastic airflow on offer. It's going to be a nice, unique, bold style. And it does address many of the concerns that I had with the original Torrent, mainly that it was just too big. Fan-dabba-dozy-tastic. So maybe let's just have a little parts list. We'll go through all the parts we used, and then we'll take a little tour of the case, mix it up. All right, let's go. So, as we said, nice build this. Nice mid-ranger that's going to be getting you fantastic FPS in all your favourite titles at 1080p and a bit of 1440p as well. In fact, if I was building this PC, a 1440p monitor would be the way to go. CPU, we got Intel i5-12400F. This is the new 12th gen Intel lineup. 6-core, 12-thread processor. This is really the one that's knocking the 5600X Ryzen off its pedestal at the moment, but pretty much giving equivalent performance to that. CPU core, we've got the Fractal Lumen S24. It's a 240mm RGB liquid cooler. I really like this cooler. We have used it before in a previous build, and it's just got a really clean look, and I think having a nice fractal cooler and a fractal case is going to look fantastic. The motherboard today is the ASRock H670M ITX/AC. Nice ugly naming scheme there, ASRock. Not normally a fan of ASRock boards, however, we're only running an i5-12400F. Really, any board that will support this platform will run a 12400F no problem. It doesn't take a lot of beef, to run this exact chip. But the H670 is actually a bit of a posh boy, a little bit of a posh boy chipset. It's actually, I think, technically supposed to be better than B660, I think. It's definitely better than H610. I wouldn't be using an H610 in anything except the cheapest of builds. So this one's going to do absolutely fantastic job. You've got your Wi-Fi built in, you've got M2 slots that you can use, you've got your USB-C front panel header, and that's hunky-dory. Why didn't we go for something a bit posher, like, an MSI, Gaming Edge, or something that kind of tier? Because it's just too dang expensive. The ITX board pricing is absolutely unforgivable. So that's why we didn't go with that. We went for something a bit more budget orientated, but still with decent performance. Memory-wise, we've got 32GB of Corsair Vengeance RAM. This is just to give it that proper premium feel. You've got premium case. You want to get a nice bit of RAM in there, especially if you've only got 2 slots on an ITX board. So it makes it so you don't have to think about upgrading your RAM in the future. So going for 32GB straight away, bit of a no-brainer on an ITX system like this. The graphics card we're using is the RTX 3070. It's the Asus Dual V2. Now, the Asus Dual is considered more one of those sort of entry-level type versions of the graphics card, but actually I really like the Asus Duals. They perform really well. I think they've got a really nice, clean appearance. I do really rate the Asus Dual, and they got a chunky heatsink on them. I know it's only 2 fans, but it's got a little bit of metal, a bit of junk in the trunk. Case-wise, Fractal Torrent, which we're going to have a look over in a minute. We've got Corsair CX750F, which is the RGB power supply, which actually might be slightly beneficial in this one because the power supply faces into the case. But otherwise, it's a really nice 750-watt bronze-rated power supply. We've also got an extra 120mm fan on the rear of the case, which is the Fractal Aspect 12. Again, just keeping all that Fractal stuff all together is going to look really nice. That's all the components that we're going to need. Let's just move on now to the case overview. Okay, baby. So let's slap this sucker down on the presentation desk and see what is going on inside. So let's slap her down. Comes in a lovely compactish box, probably like a standard mid-tower size box. You hoik that over, you slide the thingy out, and there you go. You got lovely polystyrene up the wazoo. Got a fancy little design on the inside of the box. Ooh la la. You got a user guide. You've got some other stuff. You got all the sort of little extra components and stuff that comes with it. But we're not interested in that. Let's check out the case here. So I'm going to slide off one of the glass panels here. This is the cable management side. Now, I really don't like it when they put glass on the cable management side of the case. Makes no sense. All it does is highlight a load of wires. No one wants to look into their computer to see a load of wires. So this trend of having glass on both sides of the PC, this can really get in the sea because I'm sick of it. But anyway, it doesn't detract from what is otherwise an alright case. So let's take the glass off the presentation side of the PC and we can see how we get on there. So we've taken that off. You also want to pop off the top section here so you can see all your screws or your cables where you get putting your power supply in at the top, that kind of thing. Then we can have a look around the inside. So yeah, a lovely compact chassis. You're only going to fit ITX in here. There's no MATX support. You've got 3 slots for a graphics card, so even these big old chunky graphics cards should be able to fit okay, because there's plenty of room underneath this case to get a load of fresh air inside. It comes with one of those fancy 180mm Fractal fans on the front, so if you're going to go for an air-cooled setup, leave that in, because it's absolutely excellent. I've got no rear fan included, which is a shame, but to be honest, especially if you're going for an air cooling build, you probably wouldn't need a rear fan there anyway. You'd just have your big tower cooler on there. Plenty of space for routing all your cables through, so it's going to make for a really nice build. If you want to mount a liquid cooler in this though, you're pretty much just stuck with putting it on the front, unless you want to use a 120mm liquid cooler. Don't do that. Don't use 120mm liquid cooler. Waste of time. Anyway, nice. So the same as the Torrent, but just shrunk right down. So I think, again, it's that popular design, everyone loves it, but get it shrunk down to a more manageable size. That was my main complaint with the regular Torrent, is it was absolutely huge, and there was just a lot of space that probably could have been used a little bit better in there. So we're just popping off that front panel, that lovely chunky geometric front panel, which comes with a mesh filter on it as well, which is going to help with dust filtration. With stock, you've just got your 180mm fan on the front, so in order to mount a 240mm liquid cooler or 2 fans, you need to go into the accessories box that comes with it, and you need to put a couple of plates on it. Looking into the top of the case here, we've got a 3.5-inch bay, all the cables from the front panel, and that's where you also put your power supply. We've got plenty of room for routing cables around here, so I think that's not going to cause us any issues whatsoever. So that's our quick overview of the case. Didn't want to bore you by spending too much time looking around it. If you want all the specs, those are obviously available on Fractal's website. There's plenty of other videos that go through every nook and cranny of this build, but suffice to say, any gaming build is going to fit in this. Just need that ITX board, and then all your other parts are going to be fine. What's really nice about this, it uses a standard ATX power supply, which means you don't have to go out and buy an expensive SFX power supply. Plenty of airflow through this case, as you can see. That nice, bold design language from the Fractal Torrent series. That's going to be really nice. So I'm actually really looking forward to putting this build together, and I think it's going to be a better case than the regular Torrent, because I just thought that was far too large. So now that we have taken a case tour, we've done a build, we've done a parts list, it's all just in a jumbly order because we like to keep it fun. Now we're going to look at some of the performance. So what better place to start than with some gaming tests? So you want to talk about gaming? Let's talk about Apex Legends. We're playing at 1080p because I've only got a 1080p monitor to test on, but I'd certainly suggest going for a 1440p monitor with this setup. But as you can see, we're getting fantastic FPS. So if you're somebody that really goes for that high FPS experience, you know, you've got that 240Hz monitor, you're an absolute sweat, you're playing ranked, then this would be a great choice, this little combo here. Considering the money you're paying for it is not bad at all. Over 240 FPS pretty consistently in this title. So playing a bit of Fortnite here, the old classic, the BR. We have over 300 FPS consistently, which again is going to be fantastic for you sweaty gamers who want your maximum FPS. And this is on the low sort of competitive type settings, which is what you sweats like to play on, so that's what we're testing it at. But if you want to go for a test that's going to go for a bit more of the heavy lifting on the GPU, then let's do some benchmark type tests instead. And a good one to start that off is Heaven Benchmark. And here in Heaven Benchmark you can see we are with an average FPS of 199.2 with a score of 5018, putting it firmly into that mid to high end tier. Fantastic performance in Heaven Benchmark. What about Shadow of the Tomb Raider on the highest preset, 1080p, average FPS 160. So yeah, pretty nice. Pretty nice performance all told. Exactly what you'd expect from this. This is the thing with PC tech. When you've been doing it for a while, you just kind of know exactly what results you're going to expect from given hardware. There are a few things you can change, like memory speed, cases, all these kind of things, but they make a very minimal difference, and really it's those key parts. As long as they're looked after in a good build using good parts, you'll be absolutely fine without spending super amounts of money on lots of things that don't matter. But that said, we've still got to test out some temperatures, which is something that the case and indeed the cooling solution will affect. So let's take a look at our CPU temperature test. And this is just one of the reasons I really do like Intel processors. I like AMD as well. I run a 5950X in my own machine, but I do like Intel, and I think I would be going for Intel for my next upgrade, just because with the temperatures, they, on an average basis, yes, they might be a bit lower on many of the AMD parts, but the temperature goes like this, like this, like this, like this on AMD Ryzen parts, whereas on Intel, if it's high, as long as it just stays consistently high, you're not having your fans ramping up and down all the time. And that is reflected in the results here, because our maximum CPU temperature in Prime 95 over 30 minutes was 54 degrees Celsius. And we've got an equilibrium temperature as well, and that is the temperature when you ignore the big spikes that you get in Prime 95, and that was 41 degrees. This is absolutely chilled. It's icy cold. There is not really much else you can do to this system to make it any cooler on the CPU side, but what about the video card? So we always test this in OCCT, overclock checking tool, on the 3D setting, running it at the same time as Prime 95, so you get the maximum heat running through the system. And this maxed out at 68 degrees Celsius, which is actually great. And I'll tell you why this is so good. When you have a case where the front intakes are completely occupied by a radiator, so on standard cases you might have a 360mm on the front, or maybe on others you have a 240mm, your GPU temperatures, your video card temperatures often do suffer because they don't have access to a load of fresh air from the fans. Well, what's really telling here is that's still well under 70 degrees, which is excellent, and thermal throttling's not happening until you're hitting the 80s to mid-80s, so you've got plenty of headroom here, because that graphics card can suck a load of fresh air from underneath the case. So, fantastic performance all around. What did you guys think about this build? I thought it was an absolute stunner. And so do I. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Subscribe! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! See you in the next one, baby. This video is brought to you in partnership with JCPC purveyors of fine gaming PCs. But why buy from JCPC Customs? There are three pillars to what we do: enthusiast grade build quality, stunning good looks that you are proud to display, and all at a fair price. But how do you get your hands on one? Well, we've got three methods. We have the ready to go PC section. These are PCs that are already built, ready to ship out with optimized specifications, so excellent for the most fuss-free experience. For those that want to spec out themselves, you can use our Configurator listing, and this is where you can choose some lists of parts that we have available to us. But for the most granular experience, the truly custom experience, you can use our custom spec service, and this is where you fill out our Google form. You can choose every component, even down to the model number, and any other accoutrements that you also want with the PC can be accommodated here. So thank you very much for watching, and head to jcpccustoms.com to learn more. Wait, don't go anywhere just yet. Quick one, I've got a discount code for you for jcpccustoms.com. Use code YTFREE at checkout. You get free shipping on anything on the website. That includes PCs, so that's like a £30 saving right there. Anyway, on with your regularly scheduled content.